Good morning, and you are very welcome to my Monday messages. And a little break last week. Something got in the way, so I just couldn't do it. So apologies for that. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Rebecca, and I'm a homeopath. I'm a holistic life coach and a natural health advocate, and I use all my skills and my tools to help as many as I can to become more conscious of what helps you to live your best life and what perhaps is getting in the way. So I just come in here every Monday and just share some kind of thought or simple practice or something that I know will get you closer to living that best life. So today, welcome to November morning. We've had fabulous weather the last few days, and I was at now just cut out there. The internet is not great this morning, so apologies if there's any blips. I was just saying it was so fabulous yesterday. I actually went to the beach and I got in the water. I did have my wetsuit on, but it was glorious nonetheless. So I hope lovely weather wherever you are. So if you are joining me, then I really invite you to introduce yourself or to give me a thumbs up or a heart or anything you like, really, just to make sure that I am actually getting through and that you can hear me and everything's working technically. It's a great help to know that. So, okay, this morning, despite the glorious weather, which is kind of almost like summer in a way, obviously all around us the leaves are falling and turning golden, and plants are shrinking back and doing what they're meant to be doing at this time of year. The natural world is turning inwards, and we're no exceptions to that. And this is in the Celtic calendar, this is Samhain, this is the time where we are going into the dark, we're going inwards, and we're invited to shed what we no longer need so that so it doesn't get in the way, basically, of gestation, of going inwards and really connecting with ourselves and being able to create whatever we need to create in readiness for coming forward into the light again in the spring. This is the time of the female energy. This is what we do as we go inwards to nourish and sustain ourselves. So today I just wanted to just sow a seed to invite you to look at that going inwards and to understand the role of the woman in history and generally, and I'm thinking of witches and the power of wise women, of herbalists and healers, and all the women that were regarded as somehow being able to do magic. And I was on a call recently where we were talking about spells and curses and hexes and the power of some words to really land with us and to feel, and there's a truth in it. And it got me, just cut out again there. Yeah, it got me thinking about, well, okay, why are some people's cut out there? So apologies for that. Why are people's words so powerful? And usually it's because they are already, there's a wound already there, basically. So the power of someone else's words is just going deep inside to our subconscious selves, deep in the dark within us, and it's resonating with something that's actually already been planted, that there's already some kind of wounding there. And often it only takes somebody else's words or their deeds or their actions to instigate a feeling that is painful, sad, uncomfortable in some way. And then that bit of wording becomes utterly true for us. And then that's it. The spell is cast. And from that point onwards, we believe that set of wording to be utterly true of us. And that, to me, in the work that I do, is called a self-limiting belief. And it seemed to me that that is probably where spells and hexes and curses come from. And therefore, many of us are operating under a spell of some sort. And I don't know about you, but I've had many moments in my life where I've tried to instigate some kind of change, some kind of beneficial change that I know cognitively in my head is absolutely the right thing to do for me. And yet I seem to go round in circles. So I'm really dedicated for a while. And then I just gradually slip back, and it feels almost sometimes as if I'm under some kind of spell. And if that feels familiar to you, just give me a thumbs up and let me know that it's not just me. For me, that's happened several times, and it almost feels as if no matter what I do, that I'm still going to carry on doing whatever it is. Oh, thanks very much for the thumbs up. So that's what I wanted to just get you thinking about this morning is when you're feeling like maybe you're going around in circles, or you keep trying to do something and it's just, you may be putting all sorts of things in place externally, but you still feel not right, you still feel uncomfortable, or you feel bad about yourself, or what you were hoping for in terms of your feelings just isn't coming. And for me, that's the kind of work that I do with many, many women, is to recognize that most of the time when we want to instigate real change, real meaningful change, and break that spell or that curse, then we need to be talking not to our conscious minds, but to our subconscious minds. And that means going inwards and going into the dark, if you like. And this is a brilliant time of year to be doing that, because that's what the whole of the natural world is doing anyway. And we are invited to do that quite naturally, to go into ourselves and to clear out what is no longer needed. So I'm not going to talk about it much longer. I'm actually just going to tell you a story today, just to illustrate how powerful something like that can be. And so if you can, and obviously only if it's safe, I would invite you to close your eyes and just listen to this story. And maybe if you can't do that, perhaps when you have a time later on where you can do that, then just use this opportunity to listen to the story, but also to maybe go into yourself and ask yourself, what spells or curses or hexes might I be carrying? And do I want to continue carrying them, or is it time to break the spell? Can I do that on my own? Or would I like a guide to help me do that? Okay, so once upon a time, there was a little girl who absolutely loved dancing. She was a little fairy type girl, and she loved to twirl and wave her arms and move her body, and she loved music. From the first time that she could move, she remembered tapping her feet and jiggling her bottom to music, any music. She loved it because it gave her such powerful feelings of joy and freedom. And or when she was at school, to finally be chosen to be a fairy for real in the school, to be chosen along with her friends to be a fairy in the school play. and dance for the first time on stage in front of all her friends and family, and she was so excited by it. And all the mothers of her and her friends were tasked with making beautiful fairy costumes and sourcing beautiful ballet shoes, fairy shoes, and glittery tights for them to dance in. And finally, the evening came of the school play, and she excitedly got dressed into her beautiful leafy green satin fairy costume and was nervous and excited to be finally dancing on stage, and then realised with absolute horror that her mother had forgotten to pack her ballet shoes and her tights. So all she had was her bare legs. And so she searched and searched, and she couldn't find the shoes, she couldn't find the tights, and she burst into tears. And the teacher came along and very kindly said, "It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're there and you have your beautiful dress and you're dancing. So just wear your school shoes. I can't let you go barefoot because the stage is an old wooden stage and you'll get splinters. So just wear your school shoes." And she wanted to believe the teacher, but she didn't really like her school shoes. They were heavy and black and clunky, but she put them on. And she went out on stage and she tried her best, but she was horribly aware of these heavy black shoes on her feet. And she felt restricted, and she felt that her feet were heavy as well. And every time she put her feet down or tried to move, the shoes made a noise on the stage, and she was just very, very aware, and she couldn't dance as well as she normally danced. And the performance came to an end, and as she was running off stage, feeling horribly disappointed, she heard her friends behind her giggling and turned round, and they were pointing at her feet and laughing, and she felt absolutely mortified. The spell was cast. So from that point onwards, she didn't feel quite the same about dancing, and particularly dancing in front of other people. Every time she did, she seemed to remember that laughter and the heaviness in her feet. And as the months went by, she danced less and less. It gave her less and less joy. And her mother, in an attempt to re-inject some love of dance, signed her up for a Saturday morning ballet class, a very formal ballet class. And she didn't know anybody there, none of her friends were there, and she felt by this stage that she would rather be spending her Saturday mornings with her friends. And so she was a little bit resentful about going, but she did her best. But every time she danced, she just couldn't get out of her head that feeling of heaviness in her feet. And she didn't really try very hard anymore. She just didn't really want to be there. So eventually the teacher, who was very strict and very formal, called her mother in and said to her mother in front of the little girl, "There's no point in her being here. She can't dance. She's never going to dance. You're wasting your money. Just take her away." And the spell was set. So from that point onwards, the girl didn't really dance anymore. Every time she was invited to dance, she just felt humiliated, ashamed, and that she couldn't dance. And she told herself, well, what's the point? I might as well not even try because I can't dance. I'll just make a fool of myself. And so for years, she spent all sorts of social occasions avoiding being asked to dance, avoiding any situations where it was expected that she should dance. And she contented herself by just jiggling around on her chair and tapping her foot. There was a tiny part of her that still longed to feel that feeling of freedom and joy again. And then eventually she got married, she had children of her own, she raised her family, the children left, and she was left with time to consider what she would like to do in her own life, anything that she'd like to pursue. hobbies that she wanted to take up. And something made her remember how joyful she felt when she used to dance. And by chance, she came upon a white witch. And she decided to spend some time with the white witch. And the white witch tapped into her longing to dance again. And she showed her that she was under a spell and that she had chosen to believe that spell. But it was just a spell, and it could be broken any time she wanted to. And the spell was broken with the help of the white witch. And instead, she chose to remember the feelings of joy and freedom and love that she had when she used to dance all those years ago. And she decided to cast her own spell on herself. And every time now she moves to music, she feels that joy and that freedom and that love again. And she dances whenever she can. And she dances in front of other people or she dances on her own. It doesn't matter to her, because what she wants is those feelings of joy and freedom and beauty. And she doesn't care. Her hair blows in the wind, her body sways, and she is happy. The spell was broken, really quite easily, once she recognised that it was just a spell. And that's the end. So I'll leave you to take whatever you feel is appropriate to take from that story. I wish you a beautiful week, and do have a look at any spells that you might be carrying and that may actually not be serving you terribly well, and see if you'd like to break them. And if you do, then do get in touch. Just click on the link with this video and we can have a chat, or you can just read some more information about how I work. So thank you very much for joining me, and sorry about the lack of connection from time to time. That's the internet for you. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.